All right, welcome everybody to the Upland Show. My name is Mick Squeeb, and I've got my friend here, Loyal Doyle. This is episode number 1 of the Upland Show. The Upland Show will be a new podcast, but also a YouTube channel in which both Loyal Doyle and I will be discussing the various things that are happening with Upland, which is the metaverse that is happening online and on your phones, which is basically a combination of technologies of cryptocurrency, NFT technology, and the blockchain. And we're going to be talking over the next several months and years with not only players of the game like ourselves, fellow Uplanders, but we're going to be talking to opinion leaders and thought leaders and those who are developing the games to help you become an Uplander and to be successful yourself. Okay, Loyal Doyle, anything you want to say on the onset of this show?
Most of all, I'm excited, man. I'm pumped we're doing a podcast, bro. Honestly, I love this game, dude. This game really aligns with everything I'm passionate about. It really does. And there's never been something that I've wanted to make a podcast about more, you know?
So what is it that, so you mentioned this game aligns with the things you're passionate about. What are the things you're passionate about that this game connects with you on?
So number one, gaming. I've been gaming has been probably my top hobby over the years. I've been into baseball. I used to play the drums, music, but gaming has kind of been since Halo 1, Halo 2 on the Xbox,
right. Bringing it back, yeah.
Xbox Live when that first came out, I was way into that,
Right.
And but then in college, I went into entrepreneurship. I studied entrepreneurship, and I've always wanted to own my own business, and I've pursued different ventures over the years, and I think aligning gaming with business and entrepreneurship has been a dream for I'm obsessed with Upland.
Cool.
It's the first thing I check when I wake up in the morning,
I'm the same way, although I probably am coming at it from a different direction. So I'm a little older than you, if that's not evident. However, I was not necessarily a gamer per se, as much as I am, particularly right now. I've always been, I suppose, like you, I've been interested in entrepreneurialism. I've been interested in business. I've been interested in ways in which community can come together and in a capitalistic way, but also a way that also benefits community. I think that's really a powerful combination. When you have capitalism, I know that has a negative connotation, but when it's socialistic capitalism, where you're actually providing a benefit to the community, to the greater good of human mankind, through the efforts of creating a business, through entrepreneurialism, that can be a very powerful thing. We're seeing a lot of that in the industry today. Upland it builds upon those principles. However, it's using the technologies of, again, crypto that is exploding and is becoming a very prominent thing within our society, globally, but also NFT marketplace. So we're going to tap into and show you all how the Upland game utilizes NFTs, or non-fungible tokens, in a way that you can actually be the sole owner of a property, a digital property somewhere here on Earth, and then make use of that property to not only put some money in your pocket, but also kind of be your own boss and hopefully be part of a community. And that's really what Upland is all about.
Absolutely.
We're all fellow Uplanders. This game has a tremendous community. We all know that the most successful cryptos have a great community. This is not a crypto coin, it's a game. But it's more than just a game. It's really an opportunity for each one of you to be an entrepreneur within the game. If you've ever played the game Monopoly, okay, Now, hear me out. I know that Monopoly can be a 3.5 hour or 4 hour game, depending on how things go and roll in your family. But there's the element of supply and demand in Monopoly. There's the element of competition, and there's the element of, you know what, I'm going to set my price, and I'm going to make a purchase, and I'm going to capitalize on that purchase. Upland's the same way, although it's way more exciting. It's a little bit more long term, and the rewards can be significant. So some people might say that Upland is kind of like digital Monopoly, but with real money. You could say that, but it's much bigger than that, and we're going to show you how it's not only much bigger than that now, but moving forward, the developers of Upland have an enormous vision for taking Upland to not just to be a game, but really something that's powerful and actually is something that will change the world, literally.
Yeah, and it's literally a metaverse. If any of you have seen the movie Ready Player One, I love that movie as a gamer. Like that's like the dream, the oasis. It's called
Right.
in Ready Player One. I really think like Upland. What excites me the most is like I think Upland is phase one of maybe 1,000 phases of development progression over the years of literally becoming something like Ready Player One.
Right.
You've seen that movie, right?
I have, yeah. It's a powerful movie, for real.
It's so cool. Like, think of all the things you saw in Ready Player One. Like, imagine owning your own ski resort, right? And charging people to digitally come ski, like with VR goggles, come ski at your ski resort that you developed in the game because you own that ski resort. Like, that's way out there with anything.
Right.
We're not even close to that level, but like, man, like, that's one of like, go back and watch a Ready Player One, and you'll see a bunch of parallels. And imagine if Upland did like some of those things that you actually see. Number one, which we're planning to cover today, racing is like cars are coming, and that was a huge thing in Ready Player One, right? Like they race in the game, and that's a game within the game.
Right.
Like the Oasis is the game. The Oasis is Upland, but racing is like you could be in the Oasis. You don't have to be a racer. That's if you want to race, right? And I think Upland, like cars are coming. Like I think that's I think stuff like that's coming, man. And that's super exciting as a gamer and as the investment side.
Absolutely, Loyal Dole, you're absolutely correct. And so we are going to, in this episode, talk a little bit about what the devs of this particular metaverse, I don't even want to minimize it by calling it a game per se, but what this metaverse is going to be. So let's just talk real quick, though, to Loyal Doyle, about what the game is currently, or what the metaverse is currently. So right now, you mentioned cars. So right now, there's not cars in the metaverse. However, in Upland, what we understand it to be currently right now is that you could go, any individual out there could come in and create an account on upland.me. They create an account and they put in a few nominal dollars, and immediately they can start buying properties that are digital properties that sit on top of like what you might have experienced with Google Maps. So you look at a city, a particular city, you can zoom in on actual real estate, real homes, and the game has minted each one of these properties, digitized them, and create them as an NFT token for you to purchase. So you could go in and you could buy a little house, you could buy a restaurant, you could buy a police station, you could buy a terminal of an airport. But right now, the game has just a few of the cities on planet Earth. We've got 3, correct me if I'm wrong, Loyal Doyle, but we've got 3 major metropolises. We've got Manhattan, San Francisco, and just now Chicago. This week, Chicago's opened
and we
up.
call those tier 1 cities. These are hubs.
Okay.
They call them, and they're actually it's easy to recognize because they're places where airports are.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Major.
So currently, it's like
international
the main
airports.
and then from those hubs, you travel to tier 2 and tier 3 cities, which is like mid tier and low tier, which usually represents the cost of the properties as well. So like the low tier cities are the cheapest to get in.
Right.
You know, the high tier, the Chicago, New York, and San Francisco are the more expensive ones to actually own property in, which is relative to how it is in the real world.
Sure, absolutely. So Upland debuted several years ago with the first tier 1 city being San Francisco. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, so San Francisco was the original tier 1 city that Upland debuted with. And again, the idea was that any person could come in, create an account, upload some real cash to the game, and then you start taking that and by the way, your cash is converted into a currency in the game called UPX, UPX, right?
Yeah. Well, what's crazy is actually in the very beginning of the game, I just heard this today. Fun fact.
Okay.
I didn't even know this. In the very beginning, UPX didn't even exist.
That currency, the digital
to
currency.
buy the first property, you just paid with a PayPal account an actual cash value.
Is that right? Really?
Like
Okay.
there was no in-game currency. It was just.
All right, cool. And,
it's
if
cool
you were to
see,
sell that property, would it feed back into your PayPal account?
Well, no, there was no like selling at that time.
See.
I don't
Okay,
think. I think it was only
like
buying
NFT,
in
the
the
idea.
very beginning. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Okay, so several years ago, Upland.me, again, that's the address, but the Upland metaverse was debuted. San Francisco was the first tier 1 city to be minted, meaning that it's the first city that the Upland creators took the Google Maps of all the metropolis of San Francisco, looked at each individual property, and created a digital layer on top of that each property, and allowed each one of those properties then to be purchased for you to own as the individual owner using NFT technology to be the one owner in the world of that digital property. So many of us.
It's digital real estate.
Right. It's digital real estate. That's a great. Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. Imagine we've all been to San Francisco or we've seen pictures of it if you haven't been there. So the Coit Tower is probably one of the most iconic symbols of
It's up on
San
the hill.
Francisco, right?
Like you go around all of San Francisco and the bay, like you see Coit Tower as like the building.
There's some guy out there who owns the digital version of Coit Tower, right? Like Coit Tower is a national landmark, or at least a state landmark in the metropolis of city or San Francisco. But there's a guy out there somewhere. I don't know who it is. We could look at it really quick.
Yeah, we could check.
But there's a guy out there who actually owns the digital NFT version of the Coit Tower. And I don't know what he paid for it. I don't really care what he paid for it. But that guy, if he wanted to, he could turn it around and sell it to somebody who wanted it more than he wants it. And now he's making a profit, and that profit goes into his pocket.
Pull this up really quick.
So Loyal Doyle, that is really hard for me to say. Loyal Doyle.
You can call me Tyler if you want, whatever's easy.
All right, so Loyal Doyle,
AKA
AKA Tyler. I am McSqueeb, AKA Vince. Okay, both of us are players in the game. If you are already currently a player in the game, you can certainly look for us floating around there in the game.
Chicago right now. Let's go over to San Francisco. I actually own a property right next to Coit Tower.
So Tyler here is logged in as his username in the Upland metaverse. He is Loyal Doyle. And what we're seeing here is San Francisco.
Fu Manchu.
Yes, we are. Okay. So Fu Manchu is the guy who owns the digital version of Coit Tower, the NFT property of Coit Tower.
I think within a few months we'll actually see that Coit Tower will be one of very few, I believe less than 10 currently. They call them landmark properties.
Okay.
Where he actually bought this property, I believe, for $20,000 real world dollars.
Okay.
So
right,
that's
cool.
so I mean resale value on that is at least, $50,000 at least.
right.
So what will be amazing is like these properties. I think the value will go up so much because imagine. There's only a few built. Like you can see right here, there's a building coming here.
Right.
For those of you watching on YouTube, this one's not built yet, but you can like get an idea of what. But imagine a real world replica of Coit Tower.
Right.
That's what's
Right,
coming.
right.
Like that's gonna be
Yeah.
the value of those.
Right.
Are gonna be like you're gonna want to get one of those, man.
Okay, so for those of you who may not be familiar with NFT or NFT technology, it is a cousin of cryptocurrency, meaning that it is an asset that lives on the blockchain. And we all know that cryptocurrencies or crypto coins, live on the blockchain. And if you want to know what the blockchain is, if you don't know what that means, Google that, go onto YouTube, research about what the blockchain is. However, getting back to the Upland metaverse, each one of these properties, so we just looked at Fu Manchu or Fu Manchu, whatever his name is.
Fu Manchu.
Fu Manchu, all right, sorry. My bad. My apologies to Mr. Fu Manchu.
Fu Manchu.
All right. My apologies to Mr. Fu Manchu. Okay, so again, these are properties that are considered non-fungible tokens that are minted on the blockchain. So Fu Manchu is the only person in the world who owns the digital version of that property. Now, again, maybe some of you are not familiar with NFT technology. You may have heard of a few folks out there who are creating individual pieces of art and are putting that on the blockchain as an NFT property, and that is being sold for very, very high dollars. So
yeah, I think the biggest one right now is NBA Top Shot, which you can essentially think of as digital versions of basketball cards.
Right.
But they're actually clips instead of just a picture of their rookie picture or whatever.
Yeah.
It's an actual video of them dunking or shooting a three-pointer, and then you're the sole owner or one of 10 or one of 30 who own that clip.
Right. So I recently read that we're all familiar with the clip on YouTube, Charlie Bit My Finger or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So the NFT version of that just sold for $700,000.
Oh, my gosh.
So the NFT version of that video, now that video still exists on YouTube. You can go, anyone can go and watch it. But someone out there in the world paid $700 to be the sole NFT owner of that video. Okay?
Oh, it's one of one.
I believe, yes.
Wow.
Now here's the other thing I just read. So Tony Hawk, the pro skater, okay, I'm a big fan. Tony Hawk, the pro skater, he's going to be selling a video clip of him doing a 540 ollie, which is one of the first. He's the first to really pioneer. Some might call it the McTwist, some other might call it the 540, but he's the first one to do that on a vertical ramp, a half pipe, excuse me, without hands, right? So he's doing a 540 without hands. It's an ollie, okay? Now he's selling that as an NFT video. So some guy out there is going to be the one person.
Like original clip of that?
The original clip of that, okay? Now, I know some of you who are not familiar with NFTs, you're new to this, you're probably like, I mean, yeah, I could
filmed on one of the first video cameras ever made. Just kidding.
Right. It's like one of these kind of deals, There's a guy back there with his knickers. But yeah, you're probably thinking, okay, well, yeah, I could probably watch that on YouTube. There's probably, or I could download a video of it and I could put it on my thumb drive or hard drive or whatever. Yeah, true. But only one person or a few set of people are going to actually be the sole rightful owner.
Yeah.
Actual title owner of that video, and they can trade that for additional, they could sell it for more money than what they paid for it. So back to Upland, these properties, again, it could be your house. If any of you live in Bakersfield, California, if any of you live in San Francisco or Chicago, Manhattan, Staten Island, these are some of the cities that Upland, the developers of Upland, have looked at Google Maps, and they have looked at each property. You could be living in a house right now that you own outright, or you have a mortgage on, or you're renting or whatever, but somebody else out there owns the digital version of your house. Think of that.
Yeah.
So
I like to think of NFTs as like art. Like they're not that they're all art, but like, why is a Picasso painting worth so much?
Right.
Like what? Or even like Pokemon cards.
Right.
Like we've seen a $3 Pokemon card today.
Yeah.
That sold for $3 in 1998 or whatever.
Right.
Is worth $500,000 now.
Right.
Like that's all perceived value. So like, if you're skeptical about it, I mean that's totally understandable. But like, people have perceived value.
Yeah.
Both of us have made money so far in this game.
Right.
Our value of what we've put in, for me, is actually triple what I've put in.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, Loyal Dole here, Tyler, is actually killing it in Upland. He's put in a few bucks of his own, and he has absolutely magnified that, multiplied that to the point where, he's got wealth now that is way more than what he put in. I'm still kind of a noob. If you
well, to be fair, I've been in over 6 months. You've only been in like 2 months, and in that time the game's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Okay,
so that's a little bit about what Upland is. And again, you could go to upland.me, M-E. You could create an account, and you could choose how much money you want to put in. You could put as little as $5 in. But there's going to be a link down below in the description of this, on the YouTube version of this podcast at least, in which you can click a referral code or a referral link. And that referral link is going to do a couple things. One is, when you put your $5 in, your $10 in, or your $1,000 in, whatever it is you want to put in.
Some people put in 10,000, 25,000.
Right. You will get immediately back from the game 50% of what your initial investment is. So if you put 10,000 in, you will now have $15,000 worth of UPX, the cryptocurrency that is within Upland metaverse.
Yeah.
You put $10 in, you're going to get $15 worth of UPX. And so, in full disclosure, we're going to get a few of those as well. So you could just go straight in there and just create an account and put your own money in. But if you want to double that investment immediately, use one of the referral codes down below.
What else out there doubles your investment, or 1.5 times your investment up front? Like, is there a cryptocurrency you can think of right now where if you buy it, they're like, we'll give you 1.5 times that? And honestly, I don't think this offer will last. Like, I think this is, if you're listening to this in 2022, it's 2021 right now. That offer may not still be standing. So I personally don't think it's something they plan on keeping that drastic as the game. Like anyone out there who's skeptical, we're still in phase 1. You know? Like we're still in year 1 of Bitcoin.
That's right.
If that. We're in the first few. Like I know the game's been around for a few years, but it has not. I believe where we're headed is millions of players, and right now, they released it today. We're at 150,000 monthly users, so monthly active users. But one thing I wanted to add to what you shared really quick is this is a player, BDAG. Shout out to the UPX podcast, another great podcast about Upland. Be sure to check them out. BDAG right here. This guy was one of the early adopters of the game, and this goes to show the true growth and value you can. BDAG put in $15. $15 is all that he's put in. He's even in the fiat out program, which means he can get real world cash for his properties. His value, his net worth of his ownership is $5,000. He's put in only 15. He's put in only $15.
Right. Yeah. So try to replicate that in the stock market. It's going to take you about 40 years with $15 to get $15,000.
Oh, jeez, dude.
Or $5 million or whatever it is, 15,000. Yeah. So Tyler, you make a good point. You know, a lot of times we hear these stories of people who, you know, drop $100 into Bitcoin back in 2012 or whatever, and they were able to cash out, you know, a couple $100,000, you know, several years later, and you're thinking, man, where was I? Why didn't I know about that? Well, so Upland is the only, by the way, it's the only metaverse that I'm aware of, at least, that is doing what it's doing. Bitcoin was the first crypto coin, right? Or at least the first one to really kind of get out there and explode. You know, Litecoin was there. There's a few others. But Bitcoin really was the one who took hold and made some real progress. Upland, by the way, is the only metaverse right now in which you can jump in, you throw a few bucks in, and start building wealth right away.
Yeah, there's a few others trying to do it, like Alien Worlds, where it's
sure, yeah.
But to me, like, I don't see value in owning
fictitious
property,
right?
Anything fictitious, like.
Yeah.
I think that's why one of the NBA Top Shot is probably one of the most successful NFT platforms right now, because it's like owning a physical basketball card or clip. This is owning a real world property. Like, it actually has Google Maps built into the game, where you can see what your property actually looks like. Like, that to me is value. Like, owning Coit Tower, like I said, owning, you know, Chicago just opened, owning Wrigley Field. Like, imagine owning that stadium.
Right. Yeah. So I was just the other day reading about there's a fund called Diversity Fund. Diversity Fund is it's a company that allows you, or it's a website or whatever, that allows you to start from a micro investment point of view, throw a few bucks in. And that few bucks now goes towards those who are investing in actual real estate, because we've all heard the stories that the best way to really grow wealth is through real estate investment in real estate, right? So Diversity Fund is an opportunity for you to kind of just like maybe throw a few bucks and add to someone's total investment in actual real estate, right? Well, this is actually even better, because here's the thing. In Diversity Fund, or if you're just a micro investor in actual real estate, you're just throwing money in. The only way you can get their money back, by the way, and actually make money with that is when that property that you're helping to invest in actually sells. Okay?
Yeah.
That's when you get money back. In Upland, this is an opportunity for the regular person, especially who has an affinity towards technology and crypto and online activity. This is an opportunity for the average person to jump in who's not a millionaire, who doesn't have just $60,000 just sitting there just wondering what they should do with it. But you could have $50. You take that $50 and you can go in and you can start investing in real estate. Now, it may not be actual dirt real estate that you can touch and feel, but there's no difference. I mean, it's digital versus real, but it still holds value, and then you can purchase it, and then you can resell it for more.
And the beauty is the rate of growth in this
is
compared
faster.
to real world.
Yeah, it's faster, right?
Like, if you buy a property today, in 20 years, it's probably worth 5 times to 10 times what you paid for it. In this game, it's worth 5 times to 10 times what you paid for it in 6 months or a year.
Right.
Like, you don't got to. It's literally probably 20 times faster growth than owning real world real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's a little bit about what Upland is, and I know we're going into a lot of detail. This is our first episode. We wanted to kind of pave the way and provide a little bit of a foundation about what Upland is. I think it's going to be a huge, huge thing. Right now, as Tyler mentioned, or Loyal Doyle just mentioned, there's a little under 200,000 folks who are active monthly users in this game. The devs of this metaverse, they have a vision that this is going to be bigger than Facebook. And let's start talking a little bit about what is happening, or what is at least the roadmap for at least 2021 for the rest of this year. Now I know the devs have ideas for much farther, much beyond. They have a vision that goes way beyond 2021. But let's take a look at the roadmap for 2021.
All right, let's jump into it. So this was released today on June 7th on Medium. For those of you watching on YouTube, we're going to actually run through the actual article that was released and some of the updates that are coming to the metaverse of Upland. So obviously the game is constantly growing and developing and adding new things, and they have to pivot. So they released a roadmap at the beginning of 2021, but if you notice, they call it an agile roadmap because this has never been done before. It's not a regular game where they're like, okay, this is what we're going to build this year that will make the game more fun.
Yeah.
Like, they're creating partnerships, they're creating relationships with real world companies, and depending on what they get, that may change some of their development cycle. They may have to be like, okay, we need to put more resources into this. So but these are the things. We'll run through the things they're giving us updates on for the 2021 roadmap update. So property to USD open beta. So I believe this means by the end of Q2. So by the end of when's the end of July? Or
June 30th.
June 30th. So by the end of this month.
This month, yeah. 3 weeks.
Wow.
Ago.
So by the end of this month, property to USD open beta, I believe this means everyone in Upland. As of right now, I think it's limited to maybe 400 or less people actually can sell a property for real world money.
Yeah.
And actually get their money back. I believe this is opening to all players. Will have a chance to join into that.
That's actually really huge. So maybe just a little step back, taking a step back. So as I mentioned, when you put money in initially into Upland today, that $5 or $10, whatever that initial investment is, or whatever any investment that you put into Upland is going to be converted from US dollars or British pounds or whatever into what's called UPIX. That is the currency that is used within Upland.
The in-game currency.
Correct. And so when you sell a property for more than what you've paid for it, first of all, you're paying for that property that you've purchased with UPIX. You have an UPIX, total, I guess, based on, or balance based on what U.S. currency or whatever actual fiat currency that you've put in. And then when you sell it to somebody else for more than what you paid for it, and they buy it from you with UPIX. Now you have a greater UPIX balance. Now the question is, how do you actually make money? If you're putting money in and your UPIX value is increasing, well, how do you actually cash that out for actual cash?
That's one of the biggest concerns people have with this game. Like, how do I get my money out? The game's not going to pay me back. Like, I put money in. Like, why are they not going to pay me back?
Yeah, so historically, you've had to put money in. You've had to wait for a period. Maybe it's been 4 months, 6 months. I'm not sure exactly what it is. But you wait a period of time, and then now you're allowed at a certain point. You've now been granted the ability to sell for fiat or U.S. dollars. And then so you sell the property not just for UPIX, but you sell for actual money. And I've actually not done that personally, but you actually then can start selling things and get actual cash and cash out. Put that in your bank account, and you've made money. So what this particular roadmap, piece here is saying is that it's going to be open to everybody. For the most part, it's been restricted to those who have been in the game for a while. That's been a concern, as Tyler has mentioned. And so that's going to be open to everybody, which is going to be a huge deal. So in other words, by the end of this month, as soon as you put money in, you can start selling it for cash and cash that out, which is huge.
Yeah, the next big announcement is the NFT Portal. One of the big things here is actually being able to sell. I think some of the block explorers are high value items, like, these are collectibles. These are like other NFTs within, Upland.
Yeah.
So, but they actually have use in a game. So I've been talking about NBA Top Shot. There's nowhere you can really display your collection of NBA Top Shot cards that you own.
Right.
And what Upland is doing is creating a digital world where you can maybe in the future have a museum. You can have a museum to display the cool stuff that you own, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
So the NFT Portal beta, one of the big things coming with that is being able to sell collector items. Block explorers are your character that floats around.
Right.
Your avatar, if you will.
Right.
And people are going to want to collect those. People are going to want to,
No, absolutely. I was just thinking. I know that a lot of the properties. Think about there are some areas within certain cities where, there's been some really culturally iconic murals that have been painted on sides of buildings and things. These types of murals have real cultural influence and impact on the citizens of that city. Well, in addition to just owning that property, you could also own that mural, for example, and then sell that mural to somebody. And not only just the property, but now you own the NFT to that mural.
It's so cool.
And you sell that to somebody, and who wouldn't want this moving piece of history, of iconic history
that has real world value to somebody.
Absolutely.
Someone cares deeply about that
right.
mural.
If someone's going to spend $700,000 on Charlie Bit My Finger, someone's going to at least pay some money for a mural of Dr. Martin Luther King, giving his speech that's on the side of a wall in Atlanta.
And again, that represents someone in the real world. That's their favorite. That's their favorite thing.
Absolutely.
Right. And buildings as well. So, landmark construction. So this is like we said earlier, Coit Tower is one of I believe less than 10 landmarks out there. So by in the beginning of Q3, it looks like on the West Coast we'll start to see models of these buildings. So we'll see Coit Tower pop up in the beginning of Q3. That could be next month.
Wow.
We'll actually see Coit Tower exist in the game. I'm way excited. And, dude, I think as soon as that pops up, that property just grew in value from he paid $20,000 for it. I think that could sell for $100,000 that month.
So what you're saying
amazing.
So it's the person who owns the property who also then develops the building.
It's actually the in-game. So landmark properties are very special auctions that happen in the game, and if you're the one who is the lucky owner of that, you also own the building that comes with it. So I think it'll just pop up one day, and it will be tied to the property. I don't think you can necessarily move it to a different property, right? And I believe those are permanent. Which, getting into businesses as the next thing, who wouldn't want to own a landmark property for their business? Because businesses in the game, you're actually going to have to go to a physical place to interact with the business.
In the game.
Yeah, in the game. So one of the first, connecting all these three updates into one. For example, buying these collector items, these block explorers. There's like wizards. There's these different things that the game has built that's really cool that people want to own that because they want their dude floating around to look cool. That's your only way to really flex and, how cool you are in the game. Right?
Yeah.
And so bringing all these three things together, imagine owning a business in Coit Tower that sells block explorers, right? Like
Very
that
cool.
building's going to pop out. People are going to click on it and see, oh, look, this is the building where I can buy. Because, dude, businesses are going to be, I don't know how they're going to be able to advertise. I don't know how they're going to say, hey, come here to buy stuff.
Sure.
But if they own a landmark property, the most recent one that just sold is the Wonder Wheel in Brooklyn. That's like that what is it? What do you call that?
Like
Ferris wheel? Yeah, Ferris wheel.
Okay.
But it's like built in the.
All right. Like
it's like way old.
Okay.
I forgot what year it was built.
Our apologies to anyone who lives in Brooklyn for our ignorance.
Yeah. I've actually never been on a Ferris wheel. Fun fact.
Really?
Never actually been.
Not
on
even
one.
in Laguna.
But this one I think was built in like the 1800s or early 1900s.
Okay, very cool.
No, definitely not 1800s.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
But anyway, like imagine owning the real world, property of that, and then selling block explorers there. So
sure.
I believe block explorer shops and decor shops are the first two things. So not only are you going to be able to build buildings on your properties, but you're going to be able to like decorate your properties. So you can buy, like, to actually put, I don't know, a statue out in your front yard. Yeah. You're actually going to have to buy that NFT statue and attach it to your property permanently.
I wonder if like maybe in the future you could buy holiday lights, for your building,
or
whatever during the season, or anything to decorate your place to set it apart.
Exactly.
All right, cool.
The next one I'm super excited about, we talked about earlier, is Meta Cars. They're calling them, with crypto motors. And I checked out this website earlier, Crypto Motors. Check these things out, dude. Dude, look at this freaking car. The Abyssus. Or the Virtual Racer 2. Or the Sedan.
Wow,
or like, bad, people are going to be, like, this looks like freaking Batmobile or something. Does, yeah. Like, imagine racing that around and driving that around in Upland. Dude, I could see someone buying a car like this for $5,000. Like, imagine if this is one of 10. Like, only 10 people can own this car.
Yeah, sure.
In Upland.
Yeah. And then they can sell it.
Yeah, then
and by the way, it's the only car on Earth that does not depreciate.
Yeah, these are cars that actually appreciate in value. Right. It's amazing.
Which, by the way, is actually kind of huge because currently in Upland, you have to be in. Your avatar has to physically be located in that city to purchase new properties, like newly minted properties. And to get to that city, you have to take a train, a bus, and/or a flight to that city. But if you actually have a car, I mean, maybe you could just drive there. I don't know.
Exactly. Look at this thing. This looks like the freaking Tesla SUV. That's amazing. I kind of like this one. This new one's kind of different. It's kind of very like futuristic. Certainly. I think a lot of people will like something like that to race around in the metaverse. Again, this highly makes me think of how Upland is becoming like Ready Player One.
Yeah, for sure. I can't help but think that as a person who has children, that's probably not the most practical vehicle to throw your family into, and drive around.
No, absolutely.
Whatever. That's just me. Just saying.
All right, let's get back into this. And then the other big announcement, third-party developer tools. This is pretty cool. This announcement makes me think like, man, this game is really focused on, getting other people involved. Like again, games within the game, or
businesses within the
businesses
business, right?
within the business,
Yeah.
right? Who knows? Maybe gas stations will pop up for the car. Like we don't know all the details yet. Maybe you know.
I mean, like we said, think about it right now. So we call this a metaverse, or at least the Upland developers are calling Upland not a game but a metaverse. Okay. Currently, right now in the metaverse, you can basically buy and sell properties for a profit, right? But think of the metaverse being synonymous with the universe. Okay, what can you do on planet Earth besides just buy and sell properties? Well, my daily life is not just filled with buying and selling properties. My daily life is walking my dog. I might be going to the grocery store. I might be going to a baseball game. There's lots of different things. Well, these third-party developers might come in and start developing these experiences beyond just buying and selling properties. I mean, buying and selling properties is fun enough as it is, but imagine someone coming in and saying, I'm going to develop a hot dog stand, and that hot dog stand is going to give you, each individual person, a little bit more speed to get to the next city that's opening it up, so you can actually have a competitive advantage to get there and start buying the more valuable properties before the other. I mean, I'm not saying that's what they're going to do. I'm just saying that, like, if you really want to open this up to a metaverse, you're going to open up to third-party tools, because it's like iOS. All right. So Apple creates a phone. They don't say, look, we're going to own all the apps that can ever be on, right. They open it up to third-party developers, which is a great idea. It was a wise move, because now everybody wants to be on there creating apps, and they're competing in the marketplace to create the next best app. And so what's going to happen is that Upland is creating the shell of this universe or metaverse, and they're going to open it up to the inspiration of anyone out there, any of you who have a great digital idea that can come in and start creating an actual legitimate business and making money. Like, this is not just for fun. You're going to actually make money if you have a good business idea to pitch to Upland to come in and create this idea. Maybe it is to come in and enhance whatever your property is, whatever someone's property is, in a certain way. I mean, I don't know. But, like, they come in and they enhance the property. Now that property is more valuable. I'm telling you what, I own 600 or so properties in this game right now. If someone had some business that made my property more valuable, I would definitely pay for it.
No question.
Absolutely. And now person, that's just for me. There's 100 and something thousand folks or whatever, almost 200,000 folks in this game. If that business person, that person who creates that business idea, if it's actually a business idea that is creating enough value, that person could actually have a business in this game that is this person's primary source of income.
Absolutely. Yeah. And honestly, I think that's the only way that Upland truly becomes the metaverse that they want to become.
Right.
Like, they can't come up with all the ideas themselves.
Right.
And a true world, a world that's now a digital world, is an open, entrepreneurship is a free thing to pursue. Yeah. It's your decision. You can go start a business today.
Sure.
And there's very few limitations other than, maybe cost or, whatever it is, to go start any business you want. And really Upland is trying to replicate that in the digital world. Obviously, we're still in the early stage, so they got to really watch the economy, and they can't do something crazy that's going to throw off the whole economy.
Yeah. I mean, look, I have a friend who about 5 years ago he purchased an old movie theater in Jacksonville, Florida. Okay. So he bought this movie theater, and he created this business in which folks can come to this theater and watch, kind of retro classics, right? And sometimes they are not just retro classics, but they're kind of hard to find movies that you're not going to find on Netflix, or whatever. And I'm sure you could probably find it somewhere digital. But the idea is that you can go and you have this experience in this theater, this old theater. They serve all kinds of great food there, alcohol, whatever, and they're watching these movies. So he created this experience, right? Well, someone could easily do that in Upland, right? So maybe in the Haight-Ashbury, area of San Francisco, someone owns a property there, and they think, you know what, I'm going to do the same thing as that guy. I'm going to create a little theater.
That would be so cool,
right? So any visitor in the game is like, I'm going to come in, I'm going to pay a little bit of UPX, and I'm going to go in and watch, cool retro, 80s, whatever.
dude. And we're actually seeing that with NFTs right now. We're seeing musicians release albums only as NFTs.
Wow.
So to actually listen to their music, you actually have to own
Yeah.
an NFT version of their album. Imagine movies in the future could be NFTs.
Right.
And imagine if your collection of movies actually had resale value.
Right.
Because there was a limited number of Dumb and Dumber or,
right. Or
some
like,
random movie, right?
Or rare cut scenes or what, deleted scenes, that like maybe you can find on YouTube for sure. But why not have the experience, like right there with others, like in the game, you pay a few nominal UPX, dude, enough people do that and visit that your little business. Yeah. You're starting to rack that stuff up, Anyways,
yeah. That just gets me more and more excited about this. And I believe this is the last announcement of the 2021 roadmap. Upland Legits, man. And I'll be honest, they saved the best announcement for last. Like, we don't know what this is, but check this out. We are excited, quote, we are excited to announce that a major real-world brand with millions of fans is in the process of coming to the Upland metaverse. We will be unveiling a new suite of NFT products called Upland Legits that will serve this brand among many more brands to come. Like, I don't know what this means.
Right.
Like, you're wearing a baseball hat. Maybe it's baseball. Maybe Upland will be the baseball provider of what NBA Top Shot is right now. Maybe Upland will be the baseball version. Maybe it's music.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, how many things out there have millions of fans? Like, There's not many things that have that.
A major brand with millions of fans is going to be in the metaverse, providing some type of experience.
Yeah, or maybe NFTs. It's interesting to say a suite of NFT products. So it makes me think these are probably going to be collector items.
Okay. All right. So let's take it back for a second. Okay. So we talked about earlier about how Bitcoin, if you got into Bitcoin in 2010 or whatever, hindsight being 2020, now that it's 2021 right now, you wish that you had bought $200 worth of Bitcoin back in 2012, right? We all wish that we.
Absolutely.
Where was I in 2012? I was alive. I'm sure I heard the news, but why didn't I buy any, right? Like, why didn't I listen to it? Why didn't I take that seriously, right?
Yeah, and I think we had all heard about Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, like it's always
so many of us were like, whatever. That's that's some stupid thing.
Or you hear it in 2012, you heard it and you're like, wait, it's $175 a coin. It's surely not going to go any higher than that. I guess I'm too late for that. I'm not going to buy.
No stock market goes higher than that.
Right. So in our naivety, we look at that and we go, yeah, that's lame. Okay, but here's the thing. So Upland has been around for maybe a year or two or so, but it's truly in its infancy. As we talked about today, we've been right now. Upland has a handful of tier 1 cities, a handful of tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And anybody can come in and they can start buying properties, right? But as we said earlier, the universe that we exist in reality is not just about buying and selling properties.
No.
We have social lives. We have families. We have experiences. We appreciate art. We appreciate culture. We appreciate interaction. These legits that are coming to Upland are going to open up this metaverse to be more than just buying and selling properties.
Yeah. Working with brands is an essential part of Upland's growth strategy. Even the Hyperloop they just announced, which is the actual train that connects Chicago with Cleveland, because Cleveland is a city they've announced.
Yeah.
They've actually partnered with Hyperloop to use their logos, to use a real world replica of that train.
Yeah.
Like,
that's amazing.
dude, that's just, dude, I think that's
okay. So
peanuts compared to like the partnerships that are like, okay, there's not a million fans of Hyperloop. Okay. Like,
right.
Seriously, there's some cool stuff coming.
Yeah.
Like,
okay. So imagine, I mean, I'm just brainstorming here, but imagine if this first major brand is Nike. Okay. I don't know that it is. I'm sure it's not, but let's say it's Nike. So imagine all of the assets, the visual assets and the experiences that you have with Nike. Okay. So there might be a LeBron James, maybe he's dunking somewhere in LA. All right. Okay, maybe there's Tiger Woods making a very famous putt on the green. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe there
clips that Nike owns, right?
Yeah. All these clips that Nike owns. Okay, or all the art that Nike owns. Okay, they're not just apparel providers. They're
a brand.
Nike does not just provide shoes or clothing. They provide an athletic experience that inspires you to compete in sports. Now, I'm sure that somebody brighter than you and me, or at least brighter than me, can think of how to take that brand and make an experience within this metaverse.
Yeah, in a digital version.
In a digital version that is meaningful.
Imagine it's Delta and the flights, and you can get expedited flights or something.
Dude,
quicker.
What if it's
imagine, you get to take quicker flights between. You don't have to wait 40 minutes. You get there in 10 minutes because you're a Delta preferred. There's so many possibilities.
Absolutely. What if it's I don't know, Elon Musk's SpaceX, whatever his brand is, where he's trying to take people to Mars. So for a fee, you can get into that rocket ship, and not only can you fly around the world in a second digitally, but you get the experience as you focus in on your screen of maybe some real NASA footage or real SpaceX footage of flying in orbit or something. I don't know.
Dude,
I mean,
that's where I really think the future, that like Ready Player One, like VR goggles, dude. Like, I really think there's gonna be some cool. Like, as a gamer, VR is kind of stupid. There's no like. Other than a few games that have made it out there, there's no real like the vast majority of the gaming community is not into VR.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not. Other than that Jedi one with the lightsabers and the music or whatever.
Yeah,
but I honestly think Upland is creating one of the first real world, or metaverse world of, VR having a real awesome purpose, like that, where you would want to go in and actually look around inside a building that someone owns or actually be walking the streets of Upland.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah. So like I used to live in Memphis, right? So Beale Street, the experience of walking down Beale Street, where you've got live jazz playing, you've got the smell of the seafood and barbecue, kind of wafting together. It's an amazing experience. Now you can't replicate that digitally, but you can at least walk through. I mean, imagine virtually walking through Beale Street without having to make the expense of actually flying to Memphis. You're walking through Beale Street. You're hearing jazz as you're going through.
Yeah.
You stop and you look and you see what's happening inside. You could go in and explore. Okay. There's just so much that could happen. You could go in, and by the way, these third party developers, maybe they're game developers. Maybe they create an adventure game within a building.
Exactly.
So, we've all seen those shows, the Ghost Chasers or whatever. How many properties in the world are actually listed on the the haunted network or whatever, right? So like there's a school I was raised in Florida. There's a school in Jacksonville, Florida that is considered haunted. It's a condemned school. It's called School Number 4, right there by I-10 in Jacksonville, Florida. You could go in there. It's still sitting there. It's gnarly. It's crazy. It's creepy. It's 4 floors. And you could walk in there and have a great experience. The hairs will go on the back of your neck if you walk in that building. Now, how many people in the world can actually get to Jacksonville, Florida and experience that building? Very few. How many people in the world can go to anywhere in the world where they hear about these, haunted, spots? Anyways, my point is that, look, the metaverse, there's so much that can be done, right? Okay.
Yeah. It's coming. And honestly, these third-party developers, Upland Legits, all these things coming, should really just get you excited.
Yeah.
And like people should be excited about, like, I sometimes get on the Discord and see people complaining about small things, about it didn't work how I thought it would work, or
Right.
This nothing like this has ever been done before.
Right.
Like there's nothing out there like Upland. They are paving the path as a new technology in the NFT space, bringing something new to the table, bringing new ideas. And honestly, like, I'm super excited. Like the future of Upland with these third-party tools, developers being able to come in and bring something new into this digital world. Like, I'm stoked.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is the Upland Show. If you have got the vibe that Tyler and I are super passionate about Upland, it's because we are. And here's the reasons why. Number 1, it is going to change the world. Number 2, we're making some money, okay? And number 3, we want you to make some money as well. This is a show that we don't know the owners. We don't work with them. We've just are some random guys who are what we would call Uplanders. We are users of the game. We've made some money, and we hope to make a lot more money in the years to come, in the months to come. We want to share with you over the coming episodes strategies on how to make money that we have found to be effective ways to be successful in Upland. We're not going to hold those to the vest. We're going to share with you the various strategies of how you can come in and be successful in Upland. We feel like we are lucky and fortunate enough to be here at the beginning of this, and we invite you to come along and join us for the ride in Upland, in the metaverse, and in the Upland Show.
Yeah. And if you listen to us ramble ramble along for all this time, like, we really appreciate the support. Like Vince said, we're excited. Like that's why we started. That's why we, got the studio up and going. And I think this is an exciting, fun road ahead.
Absolutely. So again, if you haven't already, please go down and visit in the description below. There's going to be a link for how to sign up and how to, with a referral link, so that you can get not just the money you put in, but 50% on top of what you put in. That'll help you. It'll help us. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to hit the notification bell so that you can be informed of new episodes. And please come back, because this is episode 1. Episode 1 was all about this is what Upland is and this is where it's going. Next episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about strategies on how you can be successful in Upland and start making money today.
Awesome. Yeah. Dude.
All right. Thank you for joining us, and have a great week. We'll see you.
Thanks.